Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Now that I'm retired, I'm going to finally learn to use a gavel.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so it's 6:30, so let's get started. This is our final meeting of 2023 of the Communications Advisory Committee, and we have a quorum. So I'm Martha McEntee, the chair, so let's go around and just introduce ourselves.
Molly Cowan, Select Board Rep, happy to be here.
Herb Moyer, former selectman and on a range of different committees. I think I was on the first cable TV committee.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Bob Glowacki, Media Communications Coordinator, so town staff.
Okay, so we have a quorum. Thank you, everybody, for coming on pretty short notice. I think the first order of business will be to approve the draft minutes from the last meeting we had on Thursday, October 5th. I sent these around yesterday. Did everybody have a chance to look at them?
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
And second?
Oh, you want me to second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the motion is unanimously passed, so the minutes are approved. I'll send them on to Pam so they can be posted and finalized. Okay.
Thank you for doing them, Martha. They were great.
I'm glad.
And now we'll have the video to assist us with those.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Since we had that meeting with the lawyer from the Municipal Association, he suggested that we should always note that minutes are draft with a watermark. So I have improved my technical skills by learning how to watermark in Word. So thank you to the New Hampshire Municipal Association for that tip.
Amazing.
Okay. Okay. The next order of business is an update on the sewer siphon project. This was a topic that generated a whole lot of interest last summer when we had the special town vote on August 15th. And we got very busy with communications, and Bob did a great job getting information out. And the work that was last done took place at the end of the summer. They're just starting up work again. And so I thought that would be a good thing for us to talk about, because we want to start getting information out to people to make sure that the audiences that are especially interested in that get the information that they need. And we can get some, lessons learned from some of the issues that came up last time, so that we can do a good job now, but also sort of translate some of the lessons that we learned from that to some other projects that are coming up. So maybe Bob can give us an update on the sewer siphons communications stuff.
Sure. So the main thing we've done recently is we're using the town's email newsletter. So since our last meeting, I was able to meet with the town manager's office and Public Works, and we're going to be using their existing general Public Works update list. That is one of the options you can subscribe to on the email newsletter. And we're inviting people, if you're interested in the project, please follow along by going to the town website, clicking sign up, and checking this box. It's also always going to be linking back to the town website, where there's one project page for all of the updates. So whenever we send out an email, we'll be doing that. But the goal, which Public Works says is doable, is to send kind of updates weekly during the project. Some of them it might be no change since our last update, but some of them might be more substantial. Other ones might just be, work continues, types of things like that. We're stressing in these emails that the work is subject to change, weather, all these kind of factors. Also, the communication is, subject to change as, staff people are available and things like that. Unfortunately, I'm leaving on vacation next week, kind of right when the project's starting. But I work with the office manager, Trisha Allen, who's going to be doing the emails to create a draft, which we actually already sent out the first email last week, I believe, with kind of sewer project updates, but then a few other updates about Public Works were thrown in there too.
Do they generally go to every town department, the updates?
We did subscribe all town staff emails to our own newsletter, so that other employees are aware of what we're sending out.
Yeah.
Which I actually have gotten feedback from people in the town clerk's office that, thanks for doing these emails, because when someone comes in asking for a question, I just read your email, so now I'm aware.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hoping that more and more all the town staff will just get in this habit of opening the email, maybe just looking through it so they're aware of what else is going on, because maybe someone in Parks and Rec, if you come in to sign up for basketball, they might be talking to those people about the sewer project or something in this word of mouth.
Yeah.
So having town staff be aware of stuff is important. So it's not just for the public. This is helping with internal stuff too. But yeah, we're gonna try and continue doing these weekly emails as a goal. I can't say we're gonna promise we get one out every single week, but I think that's the goal, that we're aiming for that. Messages are gonna go through approval process, so everyone checks it off and makes sure it looks good before we send it out. But I've been assured that process should be speedy and make sure that information's getting out in a timely manner, which is good. We'll also try and get that stuff out on social media, which it helps that our new email service is tied in with the Public Works Facebook page or ours, so it's not a lot of work to get it out on the website, the email newsletter, and social media, kind of in quick order. So
What do you mean the email's tied in with social media?
So you can actually, when you send the newsletter out, you can have it do a social media post with a link to the newsletter.
Automatically?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you can customize what the post will say, but it has a link to the newsletter, and you can add a photo or something too. So
I didn't realize that.
that integration is kind of nice. I think we had that before, but maybe you just weren't using it. We're also working with Public Works to do like a link in bio type of program. I'm not sure if you guys are on Instagram, but when you're scrolling on Instagram, it's mainly photos, and you get a text caption, but you can't put links in there. So you usually, you write like, hey, if you want to read more, find the link in our bio. And in your bio, on your profile, you can have like a link, and then it goes to a list of links. So we have that on the TV's Instagram page. So whenever we release a video, there's like a link to the town website or wherever there's more info. So that kind of helps guide people back. But a lot of studies are showing that people don't really follow through with those unless they're really wanting to. So we try to have a good amount of information in that initial post anyways. Because a lot of people do just get their news right from there. So. But I think it's a good first step. The project is, I was just going to bring it up really quick so you guys are aware in case you haven't heard. Starting yesterday, the crews are mobilizing to the site. The drill team is mobilizing on the December 18th, and drilling is set to begin on January 2nd, like after the holidays. So there shouldn't be any noises, as people are opening their Christmas presents or anything. So that's good.
Just when they're hungover.
Drill team is organizing when?
They're mobilizing on the 18th, like probably bringing even more equipment. But then drilling will start on the 2nd. So once all that stuff gets started, I think that's when the emails will start probably going out. But it might not be like every 7 days, but it'll hopefully be, about a week. There'll be some update or some progress.
Yeah.
Exeter TV will still do some video updates as, big milestones are hit or other information. But yeah, I think we're in a good spot with that. Oh, the other thing with that is the first email and information on how to stay up to date with this was sent to the management at Shinberg, and we asked them, can you please forward this to your residents, because they have an email list. So we sent all that stuff over, and they forwarded that over this morning to all their residents. So I didn't get a chance to check yet, but I'm hoping to see people subscribing to our newsletter, like in response to that. So
does the drilling generate any tailings, or does it just flow into the water as silt or whatever?
I'm not sure the technical terms, but I know there's they have like some mud type of machines that help lubricate the drills, and I think that's collected in something, but I don't think there's like release into the river.
But they're drilling through rock in a lot of cases, right?
Correct.
So that has to go somewhere.
Yeah, I think, and I'd defer any of those types of questions to Public Works. They'd probably be able to answer them. But I know, they have to, report, releases into the river. So I think they're deep enough in there that it's, stuff, there were fluid releases when they did the drill before. However it happened, stuff, went up through the thing. But I don't think it happened the last time they drilled, so I think they've got that all worked out. But yeah, because they had this big mud warmer that they use, this kind of mud mixture to lubricate the drill. But we'll have more information on that, I think, when we do some more videos about how the whole project was done.
So we'll be able to see how effective it was in that mini group of mill residents who got the email, to see if they actually are going to respond by following up to Bob's. Bob drafted something for Chimberg's people to send out, and we can see if it's actually working.
Yeah. And they may have already signed up, because this is the second time we've contacted the mills. And I think a long time ago it was kind of about the sewer project, but it was just about town stuff in general. And they passed along the email newsletter, and I think they signed that. We had at that point I think we had 70 people join in one day.
Right.
So that was much earlier this year. So
and the follow up to when Nico and the select board members and the staff came over and did that special presentation in August to the mill residents, that was really positively received. Mm-hmm. And so I think this is going to be sort of an expected follow up to keep in touch with people about the continuing project, because some people actually thought the work was finished and they're going to be a little bit surprised to see the truck showing up and the equipment starting again. There's also been some turnover in the people at the mill. There's been some moving in and out, so there'll be new people who will not have, experienced the work before too. So it's all sort of a moving target. So it'll be an interesting test to see how effective what we're doing is, and we'll follow it and see if it works.
Yeah, the only other thing I would bring up on that, I think we kind of touched on it maybe in our last meeting, was we mentioned like other projects that have gone on that maybe were expected to be very long. Like in the contract with those companies, like there was like someone with the project, like not a town staff person, that helped to communicate stuff. So they were either like drafting information, doing presentation materials and that kind of stuff. The thinking maybe with this one, why it wasn't done is because it wasn't expected to be a long project. It was expected, I think, to be done fairly quickly. But maybe it's something that, I don't know, at the select board level or, higher up to talk about even smaller projects, like maybe more based on the money involved of like that kind of scale rather than time scale of like what might warrant like us including kind of some component, because if we have someone from the consultants who are like much more aware than even town staff on like the ongoings, they can help draft all that stuff and work with me and Public Works to get info out even better.
Sure.
And I think it should also be on disruption. Like there are things that are going to cost a lot of money that actually don't have a ton of disruption to people's lives, and then there are things that are not very costly that disrupt people's lives a lot. I can remember the stop sign at the end of our street, and that wasn't a whole lot of money, but it was a whole lot of disruption.
Because I've been recently working, not a really construction project, but this downtown parking, pedestrian flow. All of like the website posts, newsletter posts, and even some of the social media stuff. A lot of that was like drafted at least by the consultants for me. Like they kind of formatted it for, hey, this is a good social media post or a website post, and then here's the flyer that we already made. So it's like I'm just kind of working with town staff to make sure this is good info, and then going ahead and posting it, so it frees me up to like do even more stuff. So that's like an example of like a really good setup with them. But that was expected, because it's kind of they were doing like a study and then presenting the study findings, so it was kind of like imagined, already baked into their what we paid them for. So
to me, the important thing that you get from the contractor or the consultant is not their communications expertise, but the accuracy of the information, right? Because you can communicate it. It's just that you want to make sure that what you're saying is accurate, right? And doesn't go through all these different layers of the DPW people who may not know what's going on. I mean, it's their project, but they may not be working on it, so they may not know exactly what's going on. And they may not be the people who can give you the accurate information. So that's an interesting idea. I mean, should the town generally have a policy of at least considering in any third-party contract asking to have somebody decked against community relations or community communications, someone to liaise with Bob or keep Bob up to date, to avoid burdening DPW or whichever department is dealing with the project. That's a really interesting lesson learned, I think, about this.
And I think there's definitely going to be instances where the scale is maybe very small or very routine things. I'm thinking like paving jumps out to me as something that we should be able to handle like in-house. While I'm assuming paving is done by some paving company, then there's like public works staff who are out there helping with traffic and stuff like that. So where we have like boots on the ground more, maybe that's where like we can kind of work in-house to do some things. But the more staff are removed from the situation, the more communications we might want to require or assistance we want to require from them. But I don't know, do you guys have any other questions about the sewer project or any concerns about how we're going about talking about it?
No, I just think it's a matter of communicating and having good information, and it's not even so much as like what we say, it's just that we're communicating and giving information.
Yeah.
Showing people that we're being responsive to their interests. Right. And that was the sense we had when we had that meeting at the mill. People were so appreciative that the select board and the town staff showed up after hours. And that's what we heard afterwards. We were just so grateful that you came and talked to them directly in person. That really meant a lot, I think. Okay. So that was our big project. I'm just wondering, Molly, if we're heading into town meeting season, everybody's favorite season, and traditionally, the communications committee used to do easy-to-read, user-friendly summaries of the warrant articles. We used to do them as a separate, standalone item that we would give to the newspaper, to Seacoast Online to publish and make available separately. Then we started to meet with the town manager and encourage him to do executive summaries as part of the town report, which was great. He started to include little executive summaries of each of the town warrants. I wanted to, early on in the process this year, sort of revisit the question of what should we contribute, if anything, additional this year to try to facilitate communications with respect to town meeting, especially since we've got one huge ticket item, the police and fire station, coming up. And I wanted to get, the select board's view of what needs to go on, as well as, our own view as to what we need to do to make that process go more smoothly.
I think that there is the component that is already happening. I think that we have tried, and I think the videos are successful about what the different warrant articles are. And that's sort of like a multimedia way to talk about it. I think that there are, or not way to talk about it, way to invest in a little bit of time for things that go out in your newsletter. And I think it's important to vary the voices, or even have a really short conversation between maybe budget recommendations committee chair or budget recommendations committee subcommittee chair plus department head plus select board, like something to kind of make it interesting, or what could be like a little round table that is not huge. I think the newspaper is important. I think working with the budget recommendations committee as a whole, even maybe. I know Bob Kelly likes to submit op-eds or letters to the editor. I think that that's helpful. I think having sort of a package around, and I think even the most important thing is going to be, it's okay as long as I'm not the one beeping. I think also explaining how taxes work. There's only so much that we can control, and a lot of this is coming from the state, and there's nothing we can do about it. So when you're complaining, or when you're looking at this and evaluating this, we have to look at long-term cost versus what we can control versus what is imposed by the state versus what things are going to make us more sustainable in the long run. So I don't know, like all of those things, like those are how I would frame the whole discussion.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I think, from our perspective, I think we're planning on doing pretty much what we've done last year. There'll be that warrant article summary fact sheet that I think Russ drafts, and it's kind of published on the day of the deliberative session, because kind of stuff is like being finalized up until then. A lot of moving parts, and then stuff can change after that if people make amendments or whatever. So once that, like very soon after that, it gets on the website and in its final form, and then we kind of focus on big ticket items or other ones that are pretty obvious that they're need to be communicated out about more. Maybe they're a little more complex, and they'll each have their own webpage, potentially a video, and then we can share those on social media or the information to it as we get closer to the election.
But I like that idea of including the budget recommendations committee. We haven't done that before.
Right.
That's a great idea, because people vote about the money in many cases.
Yeah.
And dealing directly with that topic, I think, is important. That's a really good idea, Molly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's why we like having you on the committee. Okay. What's the timing on the town warrants and all that this year? Do we have any idea yet?
I mean, like what the timeline of the?
Yeah,
I think sometime in January. I could be wrong. Maybe Molly would know. That's when you guys usually finalize like what's going to be shown at the deliberative session. Like kind of finalize the warrant, and then it gets amended potentially at deliberative, which is.
We don't have a date yet.
We have those dates, so I could bring those up real quick.
The primary is on the 21st, right?
I don't know, actually.
Yeah, it is. He actually volunteered.
The presidential primary is the 23rd.
23rd, trying to.
The deliberative session is on the 3rd
Of February?
of February, and then with a snow date of the 6th in the evening. But in my 7 years here, that's never happened.
Yeah.
And then I believe the election is on. I thought it was the 12th of March.
Okay, so we have a lot of time.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's something to revisit definitely in January or, in February if we're have any concerns. But
Okay, so you'll be back on the 10th, right? So you'll be ready to go.
Yep.
And your staff is all ready to go to do the videos and everything for that.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and that's where we probably, you guys are more than welcome to have a meeting without me in January, but
Well, that's what I wanted to.
I think we could probably get away with skipping it unless you guys have some concerns about what the plan is, but I think if it all goes like last year, we'll have these warrant article things, summaries done and all that kind of stuff, so.
Well, we used to divide up and write the warrant article summaries ourselves, but now that Russ is writing executive summaries, he's really taken a lot of the burden off of us that way. And since we have such a smaller group now, it's been very, very helpful that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to skip to one other issue, which is Pam has asked us to give a regular schedule for our meetings. And I wanted, since we have this gigantic committee now, Bob has suggested that if we're going to keep meeting in the evenings, that this first Thursday of the month is still a good time. But I'm very flexible, so it's really up to what's ever convenient for you guys to do. I would even be willing to do daytime if that's good for you. So whatever works for you guys is fine with me.
Thursday's fine.
Thursday evenings is still good for you?
Evenings are very hard for me. And with enough notice, I can absolutely be available during the day. I don't know if that works for you.
Occasionally it could.
Yeah.
Like, do you work from home certain days of the week, or?
I don't have a fixed schedule. It depends on what's happening and where I can be most effective.
So how should we leave it for now? What is the easiest thing to do that I can let Pam know about?
Because I think right now,
We're
yeah.
working on it. Yeah, she doesn't really need.
Yeah.
No,
It doesn't. Okay.
I appreciate wanting to make her job easier, and I think we should. And also, I do think we should set our next meeting because the election will be here before we know.
Exactly. So what works for you guys in January? I think we'd like to do it after Bob gets back, but preferably not. You don't want to do it on January 11th, do you?
Probably not. But I won't really have any update for you guys in January because I'll have just gotten back and have nothing to offer you guys. So
I think if we met in early February, that would still give plenty of time to.
Okay. Well, the first Thursday in February is February 1st.
and that'd be right before the deliberative session.
So why don't we schedule the first? What time works for everybody? Molly? 6:15 is definitely not the right time. We know that from last.
At one point we were doing 6:30, and then we moved to 7. I don't know if 7 was better.
That was Chris's request, wasn't it? Or was it yours?
No, it wasn't mine.
I'm flexible with whatever works.
How are people in the morning?
And that's where Martha and I were kind of at a brief discussion before you guys got in about, we used to meet in the morning at
We
like
used to
9.
meet at 9, remember?
I do remember. I am unfortunately not available at 9 on Thursdays. I have a standing meeting, but I could do 8.
8 doesn't work for me.
Okay.
But we could do, I'm available anytime during the day. It could also be a different day of the week if needed.
But we've got Herb is a working man.
Yeah.
See, I'm retired, so I can,
Just not at 8.
not at 8.
Thursday morning we do stock market updates, so that's not good for me.
That's important for your job.
I could do, at this point, evening meeting is fine.
Well, why don't we stick with the evening on for February, and then by then it'll be getting light later, and we might be more flexible, but
February 1st.
February 1st at 6:30 or 7?
Either is fine.
Herb,
That doesn't really matter to me.
why don't we make it 6:30?
Great.
Okay, so our next meeting will be February 1st at 6:30 p.m. Okay. I can't seem to turn off the ding on my thing here, and I'm very popular all of a sudden. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Okay.
All your fans watching on TV.
I don't know what it is. Okay, so we're scheduled for our next meeting, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, the only other thing that I wanted to go over is we also need to do our annual report for everything that we've accomplished this year. I'll do a draft with Bob, but basically, I think we've had a pretty productive year with our committee. We did our report in June to the select board, which focused on basically sort of empowering the communications coordinator by giving him more access to what was going on with all of the different departments in town, and sort of reinforcing the idea of building a culture of communications within the town, which I think, based on my perspective, has been really quite successful. I think we've really had a great response from town staff and from the select board. They've been really, really supportive. We made a lot of recommendations about that were budget related. I think the one key thing that helped everybody was to get the more robust MailChimp program done, which empowered us with email and really helped us with the newsletter, and got like Parks and Rec and other departments to get more communications ability through the newsletter, and centralizing the sign up on the website, which I think has been really helpful. One of the things I think we still have to do, importantly, is to work on our communications plan, which Bob and I need to do. We have a lot of models, and we still have to get to that, and we haven't done it, and we will. And really importantly is to reach out and get new members, because we want to have more diversity represented on our committee, and we want to reach a broader audience, have an ability to reach a broader audience in town. So whatever you can do to try to get more people who might be interested to either join us, or even if they don't want to formally join the committee, to attend or to give us their suggestions would be really helpful.
So if you're watching right now, apply.
So if you're watching right now, that would be great. And basically that's, I think, all I have to say. So does anybody else have any business they'd like to bring up? Herb, any TV related stuff you'd like to discuss?
No, I just haven't had time to go to do any video or anything.
Yep.
It's just
Really? You put your camera
so
down?
overwhelmed. There's so much going on.
Oh, okay. Molly, anything you'd like us to be doing? No. Can Bob go on vacation?
Bob can go on vacation.
Awesome.
Please have a wonderful time.
I think Bob
Appreciate
deserves a really good vacation. So, okay, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the meeting will adjourn.
I think you have to vote to adjourn.
Oh, we have to
and then
vote
you
to
can-
adjourn. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is unanimously passed. Let's adjourn at 7:09.
There we go. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.